area, and we're super excited to get started with this call tonight. We have some amazing candidates, amazing progressives, and activists that are joining us. So we're going to let the call build a little bit, and then we'll get started very soon. If you're joining us on Facebook or if you're joining us in the call, you can feel free to put your name, put where you're from. If you've been doing any organizing or working for campaigns, feel free to put those in the chat and get to know people a little bit. We're going to get this call started really soon. We're looking really excited getting really excited to hear from all these amazing progressives as we are coming up on election day in less than 2 weeks and early voting is in full swing. We are going to be talking about some important actions that are coming up to make sure that we get all of our endorsed candidates elected. Woo! Hi, Kevin. Good to see you out here in Collin County. Again, I'm in Tarrant County. It's good to see everybody joining us tonight. Alrighty, we're gonna get this call started really soon. We are joined today we're gonna have a quick message by Deborah Peoples, Mina Davis, Teri Castillo, Luke Amphlett, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of other endorsements all across the state in Texas. Again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. If you're just joining us on Facebook or if you're joining us on the call, feel free to put your name in the chat. Let us know what part of Texas you're joining us from. Let us know if you're in an OR chapter out there. And also let us know if you're working on any campaigns or doing any organizing. Woo, and happy Earth Day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So again, my name is Carla. I am a member of Our Revolution Texas here in the North Texas area, and I'm joined by my counterpart, Kevin Patterson, also in the North Texas area. So we're gonna be kicking things off really soon. We're gonna go to the next slide, and again, we're gonna hear from candidates all around Texas. And then we have a super special guest, LaTanya Whittington, who's gonna be talking about how we lobby at the Texas Ledge. And I will pass it off to Kevin.
Thanks, Carla. Thank you so much. Well, like Carla was saying, we have an awesome call tonight, hearing from tons of candidates. But first, we want to thank our 2021 members. Our members are what's able to keep us afloat and really keep this movement going electorally and really pushing our message. And so what we need you today, and we're going to say throughout this call, is join us. Go to ortx.us/member and become one today. This is super important, regardless where you are, to really build the movement here in Texas. And so for our next slide, we have, if you haven't been noticing, every week we send through email a Texas Revolution Reports, and it really describes what we are doing across the state. You can see our block walks, you can see our actions on the Texas Ledge, you can see everything what's happening with Our Revolution Texas, what's happening in El Paso to South Texas, to East Texas, and to North Texas and Central, everywhere. And so I encourage you to subscribe today at ortx.us/subscribe, or even text us at text ORTX to the number 512-866-2396 today. Awesome. And I'm going to pass it to Carla.
Thank you, Kevin. Again, we really encourage everyone to become a member. You know, myself, Kevin, Clayton, Kara, LaTanya, Clement, we're all members on this call, and so many others who are joining us. So again, our mission here as Our Revolution Texas is to make sure that we turn Texas a progressive blue. So you can definitely find more information about our platform and of course our amazing endorsed candidates who have signed on to supporting a bold progressive platform at ortx.us. And just want to give everyone a friendly reminder. Of course, early voting is in full swing. It started on this past Monday, the 19th, and it goes until next Tuesday, the 27th. And of course, election day, find out more information about what's on your ballot if you check out ortx.us. And also some really great tips. So a reminder that you can have one of any 7 of these acceptable forms of ID when you go to the polls. So make sure you check this out and you make your voting plan and are prepared whenever you get out to the polls so you can cast your ballot during early voting or on election day. And just want to tell everyone tonight, we are super excited about the amazing people that are joining us. We're going to be going over all of our wonderful candidates and endorsed slates and propositions all across Texas. We have the greater Austin area, greater San Antonio, greater DFW, greater South Texas, greater Tyler, greater Abilene, Houston area, greater El Paso. And we have 48 total endorsements that we have made all across Texas for this election. And one of my favorites, very close to home here in Tarrant County, is our progressive slate for Fort Worth City Council. We have Deborah Peoples for mayor, Jen Sardui for District 2, Tara Wilson for District 4, and Chris Nettles for District 8. And tonight, Deborah was not able to join us, but we have a quick message from her just to help rally support and continue to work hard and get out the vote for this election.
This is it, our revolution. This is where the rubber meets the road. If we're going to ever change progressive leadership in this state and put progressives in place, we have to do it now. My race for mayor of the city of Fort Worth, Texas is on May the 1st, but voting is going on right now. So thank you for all you are doing. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for knocking on those doors. Thank you for texting. Thank you for sending the postcards. When we vote, we win. When progressives get out there and do the work, we win. My name is Deborah Peoples, and I am forever grateful to be in the company of people who want to make positive, progressive change in Texas. Thank you.
Amazing. And I just want to give a big shout out to all the wonderful organizations that have been coming together and building coalitions and building power in the DFW area. United Fort Worth, DSA Fort Worth, Sunrise Tarrant, Our Revolution Tarrant, and many others in the Tarrant area. And I'm going to pass it off to Kevin to talk a little bit about our Dallas side of the DFW area.
Thanks, Carla. Y'all, this is the election we have in Dallas. We have a huge progressive slate to really change the face of Dallas and elect a new set of council that will represent the people, not the developers, that will really change the way we see Dallas. We have, and we'll be hearing tonight from Gio in District 1 that we have endorsed Giovanni Valderas. In District 2, we did a dual endorsement for Jennifer Cortez and Jesse Moreno. In District 6 to Omar Narvaez. And then in District 7, we've endorsed Adam Basil-Dua and Walter Chonga Higgins. And then in District 11, we've also endorsed Hosanna Yamaru. These are the candidates that we need you to vote for. If you know someone in Dallas, we need you to call them and let them know. Like Deborah said in the past video, voting is happening now. Let's hear Gio. On the next slide, we're going to introduce Gio. Gio, are you here today?
Yes, Kevin, I'm here.
Awesome. Thanks, Gio, for coming today. So if you can explain a little bit about your campaign and what you're running on, your core messages. But yeah.
All right. Well, what's up, OR Texas? I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for the support so far. You know, our campaign is a grassroots campaign. You know, we are not taking money from developers or corporate PACs or anything like that. And our message is about doing right by working class families. For the longest time, you know, this city continues to ignore the people who make this city work. And it's about time that we start bringing representation that is actually reflective of the community, meaning that we have candidates who come from the neighborhoods, who understand the struggles and the issues that we go through. Because if we don't have regular people at the center of policy, then policy doesn't impact regular people. And so for me, my biggest platform is ensuring that our working class families can stay in their homes by providing affordable housing instead of building apartments that only make developers rich. Because the thing is, growing up, when my mother was able to buy a house, because we were renting every month, the tax, the rent would go up every 6 months to a year, and would make it really difficult on us. But my mother was able to buy a house, and with that, she used the equity to put my little sister through college. And so these are things that we need to start doing with our families here in Oak Cliff. 35% of people who live in Dallas are homeowners. The rest are renters. And that's an issue. And so what we need to be doing is investing in our community. And that's another thing that we need to do, is take an asset-based community development approach, meaning that we find the talents and skill sets in our community to invest in them instead of having developers come with new development and pushing us out. Because if there's anything that I know, the Oak Cliff community that I grew up in, we have a hustler's mentality. We have an entrepreneurial spirit. So if we invest in our people, I have no doubt that they'll come back and then just flourish in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, Gio. So if some people didn't know regarding the background of all this, they would think your opponent's progressive just by what he's saying. But as we know, all the developer money going into his campaign, funneling, and we can see people inside the district being displaced across the community. Can you explain more into the issues, especially with gentrification really taking over in the city of Oak Cliff? In Dallas, but the Oak Cliff portion?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question, Kevin. For me, I think we have to make a distinction. There is a difference between corporate liberals and a progressive. And so, I think progressives are at the center of the community, have the pulse on the community, and know what's happening in the community. And so for me, the thing is, too often my opponent just does whatever he feels like. He always, talks about how communities should direct development. But the thing is, when it comes to brown and black communities, he does what he wants. And that's an issue in this community, because I've knocked on over 700 doors so far, and I've only met 2 people who know who he is, and they don't really quite know him that well. And that's a problem. And so what we end up seeing, that our working class communities tend to get marginalized, especially when a council member they don't know goes in there and starts opening up an authorized hearing for a potential rezone. And what that says to me is that our community is basically looked over, but also expendable. And that's the kind of message that some of these candidates send, in a sense. It's not right. And so for me, that's what I'm trying to change. It takes me in our campaign knocking on doors to, hey, tell people, hey, there's an election going on, because a lot of them don't even know. And second, it is about getting them out to vote and making sure that they know that their voice matters.
Awesome, Gio. So if we can explain really quickly, what is your plan to really get out the vote? Because as we know, it's going to be really important to get all of Oak Cliff out, not just the top portion of it, but all of Oak Cliff, to really bring home the win and really change it. So if you can explain more of how your plan to really get out the vote and really bring home the win this cycle.
Yes, and this is such a great question, right? Because historically, our district has been one with pretty much 1 to 2 precincts in a more wealthier area. And so what our plan is to reach out to the rest of the precincts and let them know that they have a voice. But we need volunteers to phone bank and walk with us. Our positive IDs are through the roof, but we just need to remind our community again that there's an election happening and they need to get out. Because let's just face it, our community is working class. We face a different set of responsibilities. In a sense, we are intergenerational families. We're taking care of grandmothers and children after work. We're working 2 jobs. So we need to remind them consistently that this race matters more than any other race. And so that is our goal, is to reach those individuals and let them know.
Awesome, Gio. Thank you so much for coming today and speaking with us at the Our Revolution crew. Like you said, phone banks are super important. Last night we had a phone bank for Gio, and we were talking to so many voters across the district. They didn't even know about the election, but they're super hyped up now about Gio coming out to vote. It's really going to take all of us to really get out the vote. You can phone bank from anywhere in the state of Texas, even if you're not in Texas on this call right now and you're joined in. Come help us out in Texas. We are the battleground state. What's going to be changing. But before we do that, we need to win locally. And that's how we're going to do it, by winning these elections right here. And so, as you'll hear later today, but go to ortx.us/calls. You're going to hear it later today, or you can become a volunteer. There's so many other things, like you were saying with text banks. There's so many other things that we can do. So thank you again, Gio. We're going to go on to the next slide.
OR, we can do this.
Awesome. Yes. So we have endorsed in the DFW Metroplex overall, as well as we see Diana Saleh running for Arlington City Council District 3, Mary Harris for Wiley City Council Place 4, Allison McGuire, Denton City Council District 4, Junior Ezanu in Grand Prairie City Council District 8, the at-large seat, Elisa Klein for Plano City Council Place 8, but we've also endorsed, if you go back to Dallas City, if you know anyone that lives in Dallas City, regardless of their district, they can vote yes on Dallas Proposition 1 and 2. It's super important to help our neighbors, our community, whether they're documented or not, to have a chance to be on our boards and commissions and have representation on the Dallas City Council and the boards. But overall, we encourage you to let everyone you know that lives in these areas to really come out to vote, and also join us, like I was saying, on our phone banks. But for the next slide, we've also not only just endorsed in city council races, but also in school board races and ISD races across the DFW Metroplex. In Sydney Drake, we've endorsed her. She's running for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. What's unique about her race, if you're in the district, you can vote for her twice. You heard it right, twice. You can circle her name for both your votes instead of voting for her and someone else. There is 3 people on the ballot in her race, and the top 2 win. So if she gets first or second, she is going on and winning her race. But we encourage you to vote for her twice if you live in her district or know someone. That is the upper edge of Dallas and Denton County. But we've also endorsed Jacoby Stewart for Collin College Board Trustee, Place 9. It's an important race, especially what's happening with the Collin College right now. We need new representation there, and to have a representation in the Collin College School Board. We're going to have events tomorrow. If you go on our website on ourrevolutiontx.com, just go to the North Texas side, you're going to see about tomorrow. We're going to hear from Sarah Nelson, the president of the AAOU. I forgot the name, but we're going to have also Mike Siegel, Julie Oliver, and so many people. Why Jacoby's race is super important. But I'm going to pass it for the next slide on to Carla. She's going to be talking about Central Texas.
Thank you, Kevin. And it's Sarah with the AFA. She's the international president for AFA. So super excited to talk about our Central Texas endorsements. We have a wonderful guest joining us tonight, a candidate who's running for Hutto ISD School Board, Mina Davis. We also have endorsed for no on Prop B, Homes Not Handcuffs, and then also yes on Prop E and yes on Prop H. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And Mina, are you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry about the light. I mean, my band hides this, but sorry, y'all. So it's probably going to come back, but yes, I am here.
No worries. Glad you're joining us tonight. So Mina, I just want to see if you can tell us and everyone on the call tonight a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your campaign, and why you're running for Hutto ISD School Board.
Yeah, so a couple of things about myself, and sorry if my voice sounds weird. I had a little throat thing going on. No COVID, fully vaccinated here. We're good, just allergies. So one of the things I moved here from Nebraska. I'm 2-year resident of Texas, but my heart and everything that I do is really truly set as a Texas, especially fighting for all in our community. So I'm a data scientist. I actually currently work for the National Domestic Workers Alliance Labs. That's a digital media company. If you don't know about us, go ahead and look up NDWA, National Domestic Workers Alliance, very progressive organization that uplifts domestic workers. If you haven't heard the name Ai Jinpu, she founded that organization and they do great things. And I'm part of that. I get to be part of that. I also have 2 dogs and my partner, Anthony. So I am a little bit what some may call, and I say this in quotation marks because I think it's fairly disrespectful to all candidates, right? In terms of like what should make a great candidate for school board, because I don't have children. I am not married. And frankly, yeah, that is true. That is so true. And I'll get to that, is that everyone who is passionate about education deserves a seat at the table. And when I ran in November, I only lost by 35 votes. And I'm going to tell you what I didn't do. And for all the organizers in the audience, or even just those of y'all who've done campaigns, you'll probably like tear your hair out, like metaphorically. I didn't actually knock on door. Well, we didn't do lit drops. We didn't do mail, but we still actually did really, really well. But that was the power of just grassroots organizing. And that's kind of where, for me, why I'm running is because I have such a passion. And I will tell you right now, for my race, like these Republicans have come right out, and like some racist Democrats too, but what's new, have come out and said some really nasty things because they're still in this mentality of that it's a small town, that there aren't any progressives, that we don't move forward. It's very cliquish, but that's like not the case at all. Because if you look at what has happened, I mean, for one, Bernie Sanders won Williamson County, and my precinct performed very well. So 420, haha, I am the precinct chair, but really, we also have the highest turnout, by the way. It's that I said, I have to get in the fight again, okay? The charter schools are coming in. They've also started selling themselves as being the platforms for diversity and change. And let me tell you, when charter schools start saying we have better DEI than our local public school district, I know of several Black families who have made the decision to pull their children out of Hutto ISD because of several racist incidents. And I said, we need to change that. And I really don't care what these angry Republicans think and racist Democrats think, because it's not their community, it's ours. We're here.
Absolutely. I know that our schools should not be a place where we tolerate racism, especially when we're trying to help promote growth, inclusion, diversity in our youth, and just like uproot systemic racism, right? In all of these systems. So I am so excited to see you join the Hutto ISD School Board. Yeah. We just want to ask you, what are your next steps for the next couple of weeks, or a little less than a couple of weeks, to get out the vote?
Yes. So a couple of things. One thing they're also mad about is the fact that I've spent about $5,000 in this. And I'm going to tell you what, they're probably mad at 2 things. 1, a Black and Asian woman has money. And 2, we've only focused on progressives and getting people out to vote. And I have had so many May voters. So what we're going to do, and some people have reached out, we're doing lit drops. We are not doing door knocking because people have expressed discomfort at that. So that's something that I'm like, okay. And then we're done with texting. And then if you want to do poll greeting, you can do that. We have several locations, but really it's just a few more lit drops and we're good. Turnout is really beautiful in some of our precincts, but we out-organize them. That's just what we do.
That's what we love to hear, right? When we organize, we win. So everyone on the call, if you're interested in supporting Mina out in Central Texas in the Hutto ISD race, you can go to minaforhuttoisd.com. You can also go to our website, ortx.us, to find out more information about all of our candidates and sign up for those actions. Thank you, Mina, for joining us tonight. We're super excited for you, wishing you the best of luck. And then again, we hope to see you elected come May 1st. Awesome. And I will pass it over to Kevin to discuss a little bit of what's going on in San Antonio.
Awesome. Thanks, Carla. In San Antonio, like I said, in Dallas, we have the Slate as well here. This is a huge election, especially when we want to talk about policing, a new an environmental plan. We have a huge round of progressives running in here. We see in District 1, current Councilmember Roberto Trevino. He's also endorsed our next endorsement candidate of Jalen McKenzie Rodriguez. We're honored to see that Roberto is really, as a current incumbent, has endorsed Jalen, but we are electing a progressive bench on the San Antonio City Council. As well as Jalen, we've endorsed Teri Castillo in District 5. She was endorsed by Bernie Sanders, y'all. And then as well as Anna Sandoval in District 7, John Courage in District 9. And then we've done a dual endorsement in District 10 for Emily Norwood and Ezra Johnson. Y'all, this election cycle has been huge. As we know, with the current voting turnout, we need to keep going up. But not only that, we need to elect progressives across the state. And we begin by really changing these city councils across the area, especially in San Antonio, an area that went overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders. We really need to get out the vote and tell them, because otherwise we are going to go backwards and we need to move forward for 22. We need to continue the work and really press our congressmen, because their current congressman, as Joaquin Castro, did not even endorse Medicare for all, but we need to change that. With the work that we do locally, especially in San Antonio, we can show that progressives are going to win. And if he's not going to support Medicare for all or even a progressive message, we have built the framework once we win these elections to really put pressure, but also potentially challenge him. And that's what we need to do by electing progressives down the ballot. And so now we're going to go to the next slide. I don't see one of our candidates that was able to join, but so Teri, I think there was an event that came up, but don't worry, Teri's an awesome, like I said, please look into her. She's been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. She is a awesome progressive running for San Antonio City Council District 5. Y'all, if y'all know someone that's in District 5, you need to tell them to vote for Teri. This is a huge election. She has been doing so much work in the community and is really going to be the change that we need to have a model like Greg Casar in Austin, like other council members in the state of Texas that are progressive, that are running. Teri will be that change on San Antonio City Council that we need. And so for the next slide, but we'll come back to Teri if she's able to join us later today. As well as, like we say, city council districts, we also have a school board that's progressive running. And what's unique about this school board is that their districts are intertwined with our progressive districts. So as we've seen in areas where Teri and even Luke are even block walking together and doing different events, because as we see, progressives do the best when we work together, we organize together. And so in our city council school board area in San Antonio, we have endorsed Sarah Sorensen for San Antonio ISD District 3. We've also endorsed Judith Vega for San Antonio ISD District 3 as well. It's probably, and then also Luke Amphlett for San Antonio ISD District 4, Yasmin Pera for San Antonio District ISD District 7. But we're also going to go to the next slide. I think there must be a huge event what's happening right now, but we'll get back to Luke once he joins back. He's also was endorsed by Bernie Sanders, y'all. We have the real progressives right here in San Antonio, and it's so important that we get out the vote in San Antonio to keep that momentum that Bernie Sanders was able to build, what our movement was able to build, to keep that going in San Antonio and across the state. So we encourage you to really tell your friends, your family, anyone that you know in San Antonio. And now we're going to go to the next slide. But we will come back when we get to this. So if they're able to join, but I'm going to pass it now to LaTanya. Thanks, LaTanya.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you, Kevin, and thank you very much for having me. My name is LaTanya Whittington, and I am on the steering committee with Our Revolution, Harris County. So I'm definitely with family tonight. So I was asked to present Miss Allison Drew, resort for Fort Bend County. We definitely want to turn Texas progressive. And Miss Allison Drew, she's running for Fort Bend ISD number 6, which is great for the school. Is Miss Allison Drew available? Is she here? Is Miss Allison here?
I don't see that she was able to make it, LaTanya, but we see an awesome candidate was able to make it. If we can go one slide back, I see that Luke was able to join.
Great. Luke is here.
Yes. Hey, Luke, I see you're repping Teri as well. You know, as we know, we used to support progressives across Texas, especially in San Antonio right now. If you can explain, Luke, your campaign, your message, and also congratulations on the Bernie endorsement. But if you can, I see you're on mute, but other than that, you have the floor.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for having me. I just walked in from hitting some doors. There are votes out there. There's a lot of progressive people in this city who are really desperate to have representation, folks in office who actually represent their politics substantively. We see a disconnect between every kind of elected official in this city, at every level, from the school board up to city council, the mayor, between what they do and what they represent and the interests of our communities. And I'm running with a slate of amazing school board candidates, some amazing DSA and Our Revolution endorsed city council candidates, to try to put people in power in our city, to try to make sure that our city works in the interests of working people, working class communities of color especially, and not the same old politics of pandering to billionaires. And it's a really, really exciting time. We are hearing so much support on the doors. We're hearing so much energy for people coming out to vote. And as early voting has started, those of us who are at the polls or who are having conversations face-to-face with people are seeing that we are getting a really large proportion of these votes. So I'm running on a platform written by students, by community members, by teachers, endorsed by every union in the city, endorsed by everyone from Our Revolution in San Antonio through Texas Organizing Project, student and community organizations, and now running, I guess, on a platform endorsed by the big man, Bernie himself, to put students, teachers, community members back in control in our public schools. Right? We keep saying public schools belong to the people. They should manifest the people's will. They keep not doing that. And instead we get very business-friendly policies, very charter school-friendly policies, and development and gentrification-friendly policies coming out of our school boards, when what our people want is ethnic studies, culturally relevant and sustaining pedagogy, community schools with wraparound services, and democratic control of our schools. And so we're running in this really exciting local campaign that is just growing and growing and moving forward faster and faster. It's very closely aligned with Teri's campaign. I know you just heard from her. We have overlap geographically. She graduated from the high school that I work at right now. And one of the best ways of me getting votes is talking about Teri on the door, which is awesome.
Awesome. If we can ask one more question really quick. So as you mentioned, it's super important to elect you, especially into the San Antonio ISD school board. But if you can really emphasize that, like, why is it important for especially progressives in San Antonio, but all the voters to really come out in this election and not just move on after the city council race, but really care about this race for school board and why it's important to elect overall, like the progressive slate that you're really emphasizing on in this cycle?
Yeah, so school board is not the most glamorous of races. It's right down at the bottom of the ballot, and a lot of people don't get that far. But the decisions that school boards make are really impactful for our kids. They're really impactful for educators, who are one of the largest, groups of especially public employees in the state. And they really define the life of our schools, which is the space where thousands and thousands of human beings, young human beings, go to spend a huge proportion of their waking lives being molded, being, if things go wrong, indoctrinated, and having their lives really shaped by these institutions. Public schools are crucial for a functional democracy, but they're also really important sites of struggle if we want to build movements that can win housing rights, that can win healthcare rights, but Medicare for all, for example, because they are sites in which so many public employees are meeting together with community, with parents, with students. And when we find opportunities for all of those groups to agree about something, right, whether it's wages, whether it's benefits, whether it's curriculum and pedagogy, or like community school focuses, which offer wraparound services and democratic control to our communities, we're very, very powerful, right? Where we can get the largest mass participation progressive organizations in the country, which is our teachers unions, our educators unions, together with parents and community organizations pushing in the same direction, we're incredibly powerful. So vote for school board because it's a really important site of struggle. It is a really important site again in the fight against privatization, neoliberalism, and the commoditization and marketization of every aspect of our lives.
Awesome, Luke. Thank you so much. Shout out, especially for you and the Slate. You know, it's really going to be important to elect Luke. As you're saying, the charter schools, we need to stop those from really what you were saying, like all the message, 100% to Luke. But overall, let's take it back. Even one more slide. We see Teri's join. Awesome. We even have our next progressive champion that was able to join us, endorsed by Bernie Sanders as well. Hi, Teri.
Hello, how's it going, everyone? I'm on. Can you all see my video? Okay,
awesome.
Great.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining, Teri. If you can explain a little bit about your campaign, your platform, and why you're running.
Sure. I'm Teri Castillo. I'm a lifelong and generational resident of San Antonio's District 5. District 5 is San Antonio's most economically poor zip code. And as a generational resident of our poorest zip code, I know that building a District 5 that works for everyone is long overdue. And that's why we're running a campaign fundamentally grounded in social and economic justice, because business as usual has landed us here. And it's going to take the bold commitment of our campaign, as well as coalition building, centering the voices of impacted community and communities coming together to ensure that we build a District 5 that works for us.
Awesome. As we know, today's Earth Day, and it's a huge day, but I want to center that in on local policy. Teri, can you explain your environmental policy, but also how you can build with other council members on the Progressive Slate a local Green New Deal for San Antonio?
Absolutely. San Antonio's District 5 encompasses 32% of San Antonio's public housing. And 32% of that public housing is in dire need of repair, rather. So we have an opportunity and a duty to lead in the nation by decarbonizing and retrofitting our public housing units. One, because of the environmental factors, right? It's less waste in the landfills. Two, when you demolish public housing and rebuild it, you lose that public housing and that affordability, rather, forever. So it's important that we preserve the existing affordable housing stock to ensure that our most vulnerable will continue to have access to permanently affordable housing. In addition to that, right, we're in the midst of multiple crises, an environmental crisis, an economic crisis, all coupled with COVID-19. So we have an opportunity to create and the infrastructure to create green union jobs in San Antonio, not only to retrofit our public housing units, but again, as the most economically poor district, a lot of our homes are in dire need of repair as well. So by investing in programs that already exist, like the Under One Roof program, the Vista Verde program, programs that are accessible to the working families of District 5 to help us rehab our homes, will work as a tool to mitigate community displacement, because if we help our most vulnerable bring their housing up to code, we're less vulnerable to predatory real estate practices. And again, right, it's less waste. We're not demolishing our homes, and we're making them, we're keeping them permanently affordable, rather. But that's one aspect where we can encompass environmentalism, jobs, and creating green union jobs.
Awesome. Now we're going to take it to really your criminal justice reform plan in the city of San Antonio. Can you explain your platform and why you're not taking any police association money, and why it's super important for us to really get comprehensive criminal justice reform on the local level in San Antonio?
Absolutely. When we talk about District 5, we always talk about public safety and we talk about the high crime. But I believe that we need to reimagine what public safety looks like in San Antonio and District 5. And what that looks like is investing in communities. We need to ensure that our children have access to youth and community centers, that our adults have access to adult literacy centers that were established, but now we no longer use them for what they were for. So we need to be sure that we're allocating funding where community would like to see our public money go towards. In addition to that, I do support Proposition B for police accountability. We have an opportunity to discuss police accountability, and that is why I support Proposition B. But in addition to that, right, we need to move away from, when we talk about code compliance, for example, these are officers who are giving fees and fines to homeowners that oftentimes don't have the funding to bring their homes up to code. So we also need to look at our code compliance department on how we could arm them with the tools and resources to help folks rehab their homes rather than issue fines for something they don't have the funds to bring up to code.
Awesome, Teri. If you can explain really quickly more of your plan to really get out the vote, especially in City Council District 5, but also how you've been able to work with Luke and especially to really get out the vote, but not just for your race, but with Luke in the process.
Absolutely, right. It's all about coalition building and uplifting missions that are the same. It's important to have these campaigns and candidates that value and center community and uplift community voices. I'm proud to support Luke for SAISD School Board. I attended Burbank High School, and he's the kind of leadership that our communities and neighborhoods and students need. In addition to that, it's that one-on-one contact with voters. You need to be having the conversations with folks at the doors, on the phones, and at the polls. Nothing beats the one-on-one contact.
Okay, yes, 100% agree. Thank you so much, Teri, for joining today. If there's any last words, any closing remarks that you have, feel free to say.
Absolutely. Winning a District 5 and steering District 5 and San Antonio in a direction that works for us is possible. And it's going to take coalition building and electing folks like Luke, myself, and Jalen into City Council to ensure that we win a San Antonio that works for the working families of the city. Thank y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Teri. We are with you. We are with the Progressive Slate, as you were saying. We completely agree. We will be reaching out to our members and really telling them to really get out the vote, especially for you, Jalen, Luke, and the other school board members. Thank you. And now we're going to move on. I'm going to pass it back to LaTanya. Yes, LaTanya, but yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. So I'm assuming we have Allison online. Allison, are you there?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Allison. What we want to know is, what is it that makes you want to run for this position?
Well, I have to say, my initial thought was it's the perfect blend of crazy. But what makes me really want to run for this position is that I've been a Fort Bend ISD trustee already. I was on the board for 18 months. Prior to even being elected on the board, I used to kid and call myself the First Lady of Fine Arts. I've spent so much time working within this district behind the scenes that I really wanted to come to the forefront and start making a difference in students' lives, bringing things like alternative pathways for students, whether it be via fine arts or from, things that I do within my vocation, which is both IT and healthcare, but really addressing some of the needs of our students that may not have that traditional college pathway, but getting them ready for a career, getting them ready for a lucrative career, and getting them just all of the information that they need to be the best version of themselves. So really, what attracted me to running for Fort Bend ISD trustee in the first place was really the students, meeting them where they are and growing them to their highest potential.
Well, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for answering that question. And I want to congratulate you as being a Black woman running a progressive ticket. That's really something to see. What I want to know is, why is it important to run as a progressive on this ticket for you?
Well, so I'm going to say that having progressive values is really a personal. It's a personal thing for me. It is who I am. It is the things that I believe in and the things that I want to see shared. I think that having information is the best way from all aspects of life. Is the best way to move towards growing students, children in this current world towards being able to work with one another. I do run in a nonpartisan race, and I truly do believe in doing that, in keeping it nonpartisan, to the extent that I bring my values to the boardroom and I discuss them and I push them forward in ways that I grow other opinions. I think that that's just needed. I think that what my background is, it's my second career, not my first one, but my background is as a psych nurse. And I think it's really important to first have conversations. I think we're all not that far apart if we can first just have a conversation. And we need to support students. And students come from all walks of life. And so this is a really important voice to have on a board. And so, yeah, I bring it as myself, and I really, push forward the conversations so that we can have those aha moments and push forward ideals that are beneficial for all kids, and to really understand what these progressive ideals are and how to apply them.
Well, all that sounds really great. Thank you so much, especially with us being progressive. All of these things entwine with our beliefs. Well, we want to know your core message of your run, and you can tell us how we can contact you to support you, since you're right around the corner from me, Houston, and we appreciate what you're doing. So give us a little bit more about that.
Oh, sure. So, what I've been telling everyone, I like to first say that we really need to start paying attention to the local level of the ballot, because the closer you get to home, that's really where your everyday life is governed by those decisions. So, I appreciate these forums where I even get to say, hey, look, we've got to really start looking at our city council, our trustees, our ISD trustees, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. And one of my ideals and my biggest campaign, I won't say pitch, but really drive, is I'm really just simply dedicated to getting our ISD back to normal. And for Fort Bend ISD, what that means, and probably for a lot of other ISDs, it means closing student gaps. Particular to Fort Bend ISD, we're about to select a new superintendent, and it really means selecting a board member that can transition and grow with that superintendent. You need to be able to say, I have 6 years to do this if I'm elected in. Mm-hmm. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on. And I'm going to pass it back to Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you, LaTanya. Thank you, Allison, for joining us. We're going to hear from LaTanya tonight again, but don't worry. In the meantime, we have a special announcement really quick before we get to South Texas that we forgot to say is we encourage you to vote for Prop B if you're in San Antonio. Like what Teri was saying when she was on the call, we forgot to mention that really quickly. But if you're in San Antonio, someone, vote yes on Prop B. It's not like Central Texas where you're going to vote no if you're in Austin. In San Antonio, you're going to vote yes for Prop B. But now I'm going to pass it to Mia. Mia is our South Texas organizer on the line. Hi, Mia.
Hey, Kevin. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited. If you can tell us about your candidates in South Texas and what's happening.
Yes. So right now we're right in the middle of early voting here in South Texas. And polls are open from 7 to 7, at least if you're in Hidalgo County. Cameron County is a little different, but make sure that you look up your sample ballots before you get out of everyone. These are our two most progressive. Dr. Rashid, he is running for mayor for the city of McAllen, and he is one of the most progressive in the candidacies. And we have Ms. Thelma Tamez. She's also one of our most progressive within, at least for the city council, District 3. And they're all about bringing our city together to a more cohesive and progressive stances for the city of McAllen.
Awesome, Mia. If you can explain why it's important, especially to invest into these local races, so we can really have the results that we want. But like, why is it important to invest into these local races of South Texas that we saw that the Democratic Party and other areas aren't really going that much, but we, as an Our Revolution, we are looking into these races like the mayor and city commissioner for District 3 in McAllen. If you can explain a little bit more.
Because when we start locally, just as Allison said, it goes from the top. If we have a good base from our mayor to our city council to our ISDs, it only moves up from there, because once we pass progressive propositions going forward, it only trickles up. And especially when we think about it in changing the view of our constituents, that's when the big bold change happens, and that's what we're here for in Our Revolution South Texas.
Awesome, Mia. If you can really then show us what's happening on the front lines. I see you're a poll worker. Is that correct? If you can let us know how the polls are going, or just say however you want, whatever's you're okay to say, but like, any tips that you might have for voters, especially now getting through COVID?
Absolutely. For right now, we do have curbside voting, at least for Hidalgo County. Please feel free to use it if you don't feel safe at all. We do have that, although I don't know standards for Cameron County, but I do know that curbside voting is available, and I would believe also in Cameron County. Do it now, guys. Early voting means you don't have to vote in your districts or within your precincts, because on May 1st, that is election day, and you will have to go to your voting site or in your district. So take advantage of it now. That way you don't have to deal with it later. As far as it goes, polls have been running. We had, first day hiccups always happen, but it's been running pretty smooth from here on out. So far, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we've had about an average, depending on sites, at about 200 to 300 people showing up to vote. So far, so good. So it's going really great. And, like I said, it's going smooth, no more hiccups for those of you who have heard anything within news. And like I said, guys, in regards to COVID, if you feel that you don't want to go in person and wait in line, we are keeping social distancing standards at 6 feet apart. Masks are required. If you do not feel that you're comfortable with that, please vote curbside. We do offer that. And you can vote in your car safely, and it's a really good option to consider. Get out there, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mia, for coming today. And it was awesome hearing from you, Mia, especially all the work you're doing. Awesome work in South Texas. We encourage you. We like the work that you're doing. And thank you for doing what you're doing. So now we're going to move on. Yeah. Thelma wasn't able to join today, but don't worry. Mia's our awesome guest speaker who wasn't able to. We're sorry about that, but we are going to keep going. We are now going to West. We are going to El Paso. We have an awesome endorsement of school board races. As we see, it doesn't matter if you have a district, a city council, they're showing that we need to elect progressives regardless, and they're doing it just on the school board race that's happening, and that's awesome work. We see in El Paso ISD District 1, Lay Hanani, and then in District 3, Josh Ecovedo, and then District 5, Vanessa Betts, and then in Socorro ISD District 2, William Carrasco. So these endorsements, as we can see, our organizer, John Carlo, he wasn't able to join today, but they are fighting against the charter pack money as like the continuous that we heard throughout if we hear about Mina, we heard about charters, we heard about from Luke, we heard about charters. We are fighting the charters everywhere in Texas. They are coming in and they're trying to divest funds from public schools, but we are trying to stop that so we can help fund our teachers and our help with our public education. But we also are endorsing in the cities of Abilene and Tyler, Texas. And in Tyler, we've endorsed Greg Grubb. He's running for City Council, District 1, and then in Garrett Hubbard for Abilene City Council, District 2. And then I'm going to pass it to LaTanya. She's going to talk us about her volunteering times about lobbying at the Texas legislature.
Yes, thank you very much. Kevin, Carla, and Clayton, you guys been amazing conducting this meeting. And as usual, I'm always proud of you guys. I was also featured in the Our Revolution Texas report about my work with my cannabis reform and lobbying and testifying at the Capitol. So thank you very, very much. And you can also catch a part of my video. What I like to really talk about is, first of all, why I am a big advocate for cannabis. I was diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia in 2014. I had a major brain surgery in which I had 27 stitches in my head. You can imagine that's very painful. I was already a cannabis user, but I noticed that using cannabis was helping me heal faster and it was making me feel better. So it is a healing mechanism. It really is. And so when I go to the Capitol, I have something to talk about. So that's basically it. You have to have a cause. You have to have something that you're fighting for. And that's what I'm fighting for, quality of life. The doctor wants me to take 21 different types of medication, but I do not substitute them for cannabis, all right, which is natural. And instead of killing my body with pills, my liver, my organs, then I can live and be here for my husband and my daughter. So what I'll get briefly to is how I lobby for that. Well, first of all, you need to find a bill that you really support. For me, it's all of the cannabis bills because we're going to need all of them to do something. First, you can go and Google who represents me. That's what I tell the first person that I meet. Find out who represents you because you are their constituent. And that's why they're in Austin, in the Capitol right now, because they need to listen to you, your thoughts, what you want, not their own personal feelings. When you put in your zip code, it's going to give you everybody, okay? Your senator, your representative, your council, everyone, okay? Plan a trip to go to Austin. It's a 2.5-hour drive if you live in Houston. Make it a whole day. Go there, have a list ready of all of your representatives that you want to go by their office and visit because it's accessible now. I know a lot of people are afraid of coronavirus. Still wear your mask. Everyone is social distancing. Okay, so you should feel safe to go. I think it's a great honor for you to go all the way from where you stay to this building where all the laws and legislations is made. And they honor you for doing that. They say, thank you. We appreciate it, and which they should. Now, a lot of times, don't be disappointed when you do go to the office. You will talk to the legislative aide or their chief of staff, but that's fine. What you need to do beforehand is get together yourself a packet, and that will be like testimony, whatever you have to say to them, whatever you have written, have it together for them with your card. And leave it there with them so the rep or the senator can read it, at their later time, whenever they feel it's convenient. Now, if you're going to testify, go at 5 o'clock in the morning. Kevin, I'll call it the freedom ride, okay? We get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We go somewhere, have breakfast, and we shoot to Austin. Once you get there, you need to go to the portal. And that's a little bitty computer box where you can punch in what bill you want to testify for, if you're for it or against it, if you're going to testify or just witness, okay? And so you wait. And actually, the last time that I testified, it was for 10 cannabis bills. I testified for 7 and witnessed for the rest because I fell asleep. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. But my love for cannabis, made me want to stay there and do that and talk to Texas, man. The Democrats and the Republicans, they're just fighting. But I'm like, listen to me, free the weed in Texas, that is what I'm there for. And whatever your cause is, that is what you're there for too. Don't give up. So remember what I said, get together your testimony, get together with some friends, make that freedom ride to Austin and go testify and go lobby for what you believe in. Last but not least, at the end, see if you can go and give a thank you card to your representative and tell them thank you, for supporting me, because that's something that they normally don't get, Sometimes you get more bees with honey. So I just wanted to drop that off with you guys. And doing that was the best thing that I've ever done. And I'll keep doing it until they free the weed in Texas.
Woo! Amazing. LaTanya, I just gotta give you props for real, just like on being such an amazing leader on marijuana reform. I think that you have just done so much amazing work, and you have been like a huge advocate and working with coalition partners. You're a steering member on our OR Texas board, and we're so grateful to have you. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've been doing and your passion. I know that we have some amazing representatives that have been elected who have signed on to our platform. Kevin, you've actually been a huge advocate as well for Jasmine. I know that she's probably looking to support and be a partner on this as well.
Yes, if I can actually add on, LaTanya and Jasmine are like the duo in the Texas House. Jasmine's the legislature advocating at the back end, and LaTanya's doing the work that we need everyone to be able to come do. And LaTanya's helping Jasmine Crockett in Dallas. She ran on the cannabis reform of full legalization of marijuana and then decriminalization of people that are currently locked up. And
if you don't mind, let me tell you that I did testify for one of her decriminalization bills, and I had a chance to talk with her, and I got a picture with her. So it was really amazing. Me and her both stayed up to 6 o'clock that morning, her even longer. She's an amazing person. And I did mention our revolution, Texas.
As you see, when we elect someone, it doesn't matter where you are. If we're electing progressive people across Texas, we can work together in getting the progressive legislation across Texas and the Texas House. And we see that happening right there with LaTanya. But it was only made possible when we were phone banking for Jasmine. Jasmine, she won her race by 90 votes, and it was done with the support with our revolution on our dialer. We were able to flip over 600 voters going into election day that she was trailing. We were able to help change those voters, and really when they came out on election day, she was winning the vote number and ended up winning by 90 votes. When people say every vote matters, Jasmine's race is that example. We were able to show that with our revolution, Sunrise Movement, and locally and other partners, we were able to really get out the votes and show, but that takes the work, and we're going to need you to join us on our phone banks calling for No on Prop B in Central Texas, our Fort Worth Slate, our Dallas Slate, El Paso, everywhere. We encourage you to go to ortx.us/call. Those are going to be the calls that are going to determine this election. Those are going to be the calls that determine in District 1, as we heard from Gio earlier, if we're going to have a developer, a pro-developer, or a people's candidate in office. It's really going to be the determinant factor of our wins this cycle and how we're going to be moving to 2022. So we encourage you to jump on our dialer and making the calls. But I'm going to pass it to Carla for the next slide.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, LaTanya. And thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. I think we had such an amazing lineup of speakers who've joined us, who have proven that these progressive values are achievable It's no longer acceptable for us to just continue the status quo, right? We're here to turn Texas a progressive blue, and then also elect progressives down ballot in municipal races. So we cannot do that without you and your support. It takes all of us to become full members, full dues paying members. We are not funded by billionaire donors or special interests. It is just our money that is funding our phone banks, our lit drops, our block walks, all of our efforts to get these progressive values and progressive candidates elected. So we strongly ask and encourage you to become a member today. Our average donation is $11 a month. You can get some really cool swag and also get your membership card. Once you become a dues paying member, you can go to ortx.us/member and join us. Join us so we can make all these amazing actions come to life and get marijuana legalized, get Medicare for all, get a Green New Deal, and everything else that we deserve. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us tonight on this call. We look forward to seeing you next month. Look out for our virtual calls for all of our regions. You can find all of that information on our website again, ortx.us, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Really quick, we're going to do our pledge. When we organize, we win. So I'm going to say when we organize, and then y'all are going to say we win. When we organize,
we win.
Organize,
we win.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining tonight, and have a nice night.
Bye.
Night, y'all.